you realize that I'm trying to help you out here. I'm trying to get you out of here quicker. And you're just sitting here.
Well, am I free to go then?
No, you're not free to go.
Why?
Because I've got to get to the bottom of an investigation, a very serious criminal matter. Okay? And right now you're a potential suspect in that.
The man being interrogated here is one Grant Hardin, and you may be surprised to find that once upon a time, he was a police chief. Unfortunately, he's now on the wrong side of the interrogation table, and for much darker reasons than you'd expect.
Does that make sense?
I don't understand why I'm a suspect, no.
Well, that's for me to know and for you to tell me why you're not a suspect.
This is your time to kind of help you.
Okay.
Tell me this.
I do apologize on the front end.
No, I'm not mad at you.
I'm going to exercise my right to be silent.
Okay. So just tell me this. I know you were a police officer before, right? You're a police officer in Gateway? It's an easy yes or no.
I'm being silent.
Regardless of the crimes that Hardin committed, we're starting off with a pretty rough statement from the interrogating officer. Hardin has already declared that he's going to be exercising his right to remain silent, and rather than accepting that, the officer begins to show signs of annoyance. Perhaps that is because he knows what Hardin did, but even so, he should not be continuing to pester like that after the man already declared that he would be remaining silent. Grant Hardin's crimes are a disturbing chronicle of violence and sexual assault. His first high-profile crime, and the one that originally got him arrested, was the murder of James Appleton in 2017, to which he pleaded guilty. Hardin openly admitted to shooting Appleton, but never provided a reason for this brutal act. That wasn't the only crime that he'd committed, however, and soon enough, evidence would come to light of something he'd done 20 years before this.
All right, right hand, turn it over for me. Perfect. Perfect, thanks, sir. Okay, let me see the right back of your hand. You'll turn your hand back over. Yep. Thanks, sir. And do the same thing with the left palm. Thanks, sir. And we will do the left back now. All right. You don't have any weapons on you, do you?
No.
Okay, let me search you real quick. If you place your hand up on the wall, I'll let you go to the bathroom, okay? There's just keys. I believe it was keys right there for you, okay? So where do you work at?
And Arkansas Community Corrections.
Okay. Okay. All righty. If you want to step right out here, I'll have that other deputy take you if you want. Okay.
We first see a gunpowder residue test being performed on both of Hardin's hands, which makes sense considering what he's being arrested for. But after that test, while he's being searched, we hear something interesting. The officer begins to ask him questions, almost nonchalantly, as though he's making conversation, rather than trying to get information out of Hardin. In the United States, individuals have a constitutionally protected right against self-incrimination, commonly known as the right to remain silent. This right is enshrined in the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and is a fundamental safeguard in the criminal justice system. When someone invokes their right to remain silent, they are indicating that they do not wish to answer questions that may incriminate them in a criminal matter. However, it's essential to understand that simply stating a desire to remain silent does not automatically halt police questioning. Officers are generally allowed to continue questioning an individual who has invoked their right to remain silent, as long as certain conditions are met. The crucial factor is whether the person in custody has also requested legal representation, typically in the form of a lawyer. When someone explicitly requests legal counsel, police are required to cease questioning until an attorney is present. This request is commonly referred to as invoking the right to counsel. In this instance, even though Hardin has said that he is going to remain silent, the officers don't really have to do anything in particular in response to that, and are allowed to keep questioning. Whether or not you agree with how they're doing that is up to you, but in the eye of the law, continuing to question Hardin at this point is completely legal.
I'm going to get some information from you real quick.
Do you want me to leave that there or put it
You
back?
can put that back in your pocket if you want, man. You know how it is.
I know how it is.
You're in corrections, so you know when we take people to the bathroom, we don't want them taking stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving stuff and whatever. Not that you would, but you know how it works. Yeah. Or that you even may just forget it in there on accident, you know. There was something I needed to get from you. Are you right or left-handed?
Right.
Right-handed, okay.
The officer appears to have made great use of the small search break in doing something commonly called resetting the room. Things before had gotten a little bit hostile, with Hardin shutting down. And now that people are coming back into the room and getting settled, he talks to the man in a more kind, calm tone of voice, hoping to get more information out of him. This is a common tactic in interrogation procedures.
If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer, you still have the right to stop answering questions at any time or stop questioning for the purposes of consulting a lawyer. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. However, you may waive your right to advice and counsel, and your right to remain silent. You may answer questions or make statements without consulting a lawyer if you so desire. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
This is something that everyone watching should take note on. Because if Hardin had done this, it's very likely he would have done much better in this interrogation room. No matter what, if you're guilty or innocent, you should immediately ask to speak to a lawyer. It doesn't matter how friendly the cops seem, it doesn't matter what they say. They do not have your best interest at heart, and you should speak only through a lawyer so you don't say something that either incriminates you or falsely incriminates you.
Here's the thing. I want to talk to you about what you've done today, okay? Can you just take me through when you woke up this morning to when you got stopped by the police out there in what's the name of that road that you're on? I'm sorry, I'm going wrong. Gantt Ridge?
I'm not going to say anything after I've been read those rights yet.
Okay. Why don't you want to talk to me about your day?
I don't know what's going on. I am kind of sickly to what I'm here for and things.
Okay. So you don't want to explain what you've done today? Did you? Is there a reason behind that?
He read me my rights, and I don't know why. And so, what was the first thing he said? I have the right to remain silent.
Okay. So you're telling me that you don't want to talk to me right now?
I'm going to remain silent.
Hardin is doing almost exactly what he should in this situation, aside from the fact that he should ask for a lawyer to be present. Like we said before, just because he stated that he was going to remain silent doesn't mean the officers have to stop questioning him. What they shouldn't be is annoyed at the fact that he's exercising his rights, like the male officer seems to become once again, but that is besides the point. After this, both officers leave the room for about 4 minutes, letting Hardin stew in silence.
By the way, I'm Detective Cordier. I think we've met once before.
Probably so.
Yeah, I think so. Back when I was on patrol.
Okay, I talked to my boss. I think I was confused, or I may have confused you on what's going on here. I can't tell you exactly why you're here. And you being a police officer, you understand that. I need to rule you out as a suspect in a crime that's been committed. And that's why we got you here, is because we need to talk to you, find out where you're at. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if I scared you at the beginning or what, but that's why I was trying to, and I can't, you see the position that I'm in. I can't tell you why you're here, but at the same time, I need to rule you out into something. Does that make sense? I mean, or would you be willing to talk to me about your day, knowing that I need to rule you out of something, or like I'm at a loss here, and I need to clear you from something. And if you didn't do anything wrong today, you have nothing to worry about. And that's kind of where we're at.
This is a rhetoric that police officers seem to bring up a lot, and it's that if you have nothing to hide, then you should feel free to talk to us. Well, in a perfect society, that would be true. But this is not a perfect society. And so many people have been falsely imprisoned because they thought they were helping a police officer, when in fact all they were doing was building a false case up against themselves. And before they knew it, it was too late.
Well, yes, I I would have liked to, but before
Yeah.
the rights were read. So
Okay.
not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and you understand as a detective, we read those rights to everybody who comes in here. It's not just you, but when we interview, kids, and it's everybody. Once you come into our facility, we that's something we have to do. It's not something. It's not just something we're doing for you. It happens to everybody that walks through this room and talks to us. Because it's just like anything else that we do. We have to cover all of our bases. And that's what we did by reading you those rights. So we need to know. I mean, does that make sense? Like, I know you've been a police officer for a while now, so you understand, how everything works.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got to rule you out as a suspect. And if I can't do that, then we're at a standstill. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The officer here actually seems a bit flustered by the fact that Hardin is invoking his right to silence, seen by the fact that he keeps repeating his words and stuttering over why exactly he read the man his rights. The fact of the matter is that Hardin is not a stupid man. He's law enforcement, and he understands exactly what he's doing. And in his previous crimes, he took careful measures to ensure that what he did couldn't be traced back to him. Well, in every way except one. It was the resurfacing of a 1997 rape case that cast an even darker shadow over Hardin's past. In that year, a school teacher was at Frank Tillery Elementary School on a Sunday, preparing her classroom, when she was confronted by an armed man as she left the restroom. This man proceeded to rape her in 2 different locations. The case went unsolved for decades.
Okay, so what happened today? Can you walk me through your day about what happened
I
today?
have to remain silent
Okay.
on that.
Okay. So you're telling.
Right.
Okay, so you're telling me you did do something today that was wrong then. Is that what I'm getting at? I mean,
I'm just silent.
Okay, so you just don't want to talk to me because what reason?
I don't understand what they snatched me up out there and nobody told me anything. I don't understand.
Okay.
Why I couldn't be told what's going on and
Okay. So did you? I guess my question is this: knowing what I just told you, okay. I guess if it was me and I was, if I was in your position, I'd be like, hey, James, I did this. Or Grant, I did this. I was at, here, here, and here. And I would just be done with it. And that way you can get out of here. But at this point, I can't clear you from this because you could still potentially be a suspect.
This is another common tactic used by officers in saying that, if I were in your shoes, or something along those lines. It's meant to lure people into a false sense of security, thinking that if an officer would talk, then surely it is safe to do so. That is not the case in the slightest, and the person being interrogated can still give away crucial information after speaking in response to that. Hardin remaining silent is exactly what he should be doing, other than, of course, asking for his lawyer.
Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm not explaining it right or what was going on
explain
here.
it fine. I just have to, once the rights have been read, I have to, it says I have the right to be silent.
Yes. Okay. I don't know. I don't even know what to say at this point. You realize that I'm trying to help you out here. I'm trying to get you out of here quicker. And you're just sitting here.
Whenever an officer says, "I'm just trying to help you," you need to put on the brakes and understand that they are doing the opposite. The interrogating officer here keeps claiming that he's trying to clear Hardin, but the fact of the matter is that he knows that the man committed the crime. He is just trying to make him more uncomfortable so that he'll eventually confess to what he did, which obviously makes a case much stronger in court. Even if a confession is forced, we've unfortunately seen them stand in court before.
We can do this all night. I mean, it doesn't bother me. You're going to continue to be a suspect until I find out otherwise.
Okay.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yet another instance of the officers leaving the room in order to allow Hardin to stew. It's honestly quite baffling that the man hasn't asked for his lawyer yet, because that would lead to a much better resolution for him. Instead, he just has to sit and squirm in silence while the police continue to batter him with questions. They have the right to do so, but it's obviously quite slimy.
Alright, keep you waiting just long. Okay. That's alright. Detective Cordero is talking to your wife right now. I talked to her a little bit. So I've kind of got a timeline of where you were and where you weren't today. I'm not... We all know what happened, okay? My thing is I'm trying to get your side of the story, okay? I don't want... I'm trying to think of how to word this delicately. I'm not trying to get you in any trouble. I'm not trying to get her in any trouble. Okay? You've got a little daughter, 16, who needs her parents. Okay? Mm-hmm. I know what was said at dinner time. I know everything. Okay? I need your side of the story. Okay? I don't know if you've had a problem with this guy for a while, and this was an accident, or you maliciously chased him down, or what happened. But if I don't get your side of the story, I won't ever know. Okay? You know I know. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't be talking to them right now.
And here it's revealed that the officer was actively lying about trying to clear Hardin before. He knew what had happened and was simply trying to get an easy confession out of him. The events of that day are actually fairly well understood at this point, considering several years have passed. A passerby witnessed a parked pickup truck and noticed a white Chevrolet Malibu behind it. The driver of the Malibu, who was later identified as Grant Hardin, motioned for the passerby to go around. However, moments later, the witness heard a sudden, loud noise. As they looked back, they saw the Malibu speeding away before it turned onto a dirt road. Hardin lived in his childhood home on Gan Ridge Road, which added to the intrigue surrounding the incident. As Appleton was talking to his brother-in-law on the phone, he reportedly commented on the Malibu that had stopped behind his truck, musing that the car might think he was a police officer due to his parked location. These words turned out to be tragically prophetic. As the two conversed, they heard what sounded like a car door being slammed. Unfortunately, it was a gunshot. Hardin, behind the wheel of the Malibu, had suddenly opened fire on James Appleton, who was still on the phone with his brother-in-law. The shots were fatal, and Appleton was struck down in cold blood. After committing this heinous act, Grant Hardin returned home and even took his wife and teenage daughter out to dinner, an act that might appear chillingly callous in light of the events. Could you take your family out to dinner right after murdering someone?
So I want to give you the opportunity to tell me what led up to what happened today. And if I came across as being rude or upset or whatever earlier, I'm sorry. That's not what I'm trying to do.
You're fine.
I'm just trying to get
I'm not sure what happens or what's going on.
Okay.
But I just have to invoke my right.
Okay. So you're telling me that you don't want to give me your side of the story. That's what you're telling me. That I've got to put together what your wife has told me, what the crime scene's told me. I mean,
what I'm saying is, I have the right to remain silent.
That's true. You do.
I'm not saying I don't want to tell you anything or help you guys or anything. I'm just saying you told me I had the right to remain silent.
That's true. I did.
This is bordering on dangerous territory for Hardin and the way he's talking. Instead of repeatedly talking about how he was given the right to remain silent, he should instead just remain silent. He should stop talking and once again call for a lawyer to be present.
your wife's about to leave. She wanted to give you a hug before she left. Are you good with that? I told her that it was fine. I don't have any problems with it.
Okay.
Just, come on in. I'm sorry. I was just,
Love you too. Everything be okay.
all right, I'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you. I guess
One has to wonder whether or not his wife and daughter knew, at this moment in time, what he had done. It's more than likely that he told them something along the lines of how this was all nonsense and that he'd be going home soon. But that wouldn't be the case. Not by a long shot. It is also likely that the officer let them in to hug him in an attempt to open him up a bit, to make him talk by getting to his emotions. Considering how steadfast he's been thus far, that's doubtful.
How are you doing?
Right. Get ready to think about laying down up on that desk, but it looks awful hard.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be any more comfortable up there than what you are now.
No,
Can I get you anything else?
no, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Alright. Well, can you help me understand how we got to this point?
I don't know.
I don't know. Man, I remember being on patrol and running into you one night. Help me out on a call, back me up.
Oh, what?
It was way back in, oh gosh, it's been almost 3 years now.
With the way that the other officer was acting, it almost makes you wonder whether or not this is another lie. Maybe the two of them have never met, and she's making up a story to try to get him to feel some sort of camaraderie towards her. It wouldn't be the first time that an officer has lied to try to get closer to a suspect, to make them open up.
Any movies, anything good, anything else?
Let's see. They had, well, there was that, Ash, and I think, and then we watched Good and Smoke.
Oh,
That's
okay.
always on there.
Yeah.
And then, watched the Mad Max movie that they had there.
Is it the new one or the old one?
That's the old one.
You know, I've seen the new one. They just came out like last year.
Well, it didn't make any sense then, did it?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't really. I guess I should have probably started with the first one.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
The officer starts talking to him about movies, because there's not much else he seems willing to talk about, and maybe this will give her an entry point. It's unlikely considering how tightly he's held to his guns, but it's a possibility.
Let me go check on their process. I'll come chit chat more. I don't have nothing else to do, so.
Well,
Cool.
thank you.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Just I apologize ahead of time that
Hey,
I
no.
do this silent.
No, I enjoy
mean-
talking to you. Hey, it's okay.
Right to remain silent.
You don't have to explain it. I get it. I enjoy talking, so I'll be back.
She eventually seems to realize that she isn't getting anywhere and leaves the room. And just to cut out a lot of the same thing over and over and over again, he sticks to his right to remain silent for a long, long time.
Well, I appreciate you being polite. It's kind of a nice alternative to what I've dealt with before. Kind of nice to talk to, too. Makes time go by. Do you want to talk to me?
Can I get a lawyer?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to.
It's up to you.
But
You can either-
obviously something's going on and I need one.
It's up to you. I just want to hear your side, but
I want to get a lawyer.
okay.
After nearly an hour and a half, Hardin finally asks for a lawyer. This is something that should have been done at the beginning of this whole process. But better late than never, and he didn't give too much away.
Okay. I can't talk to you anymore because you asked for a lawyer.
It's good to see that this officer is following what she's supposed to do and not asking any more questions after Hardin asked for a lawyer. Although she did kind of sit there for a long time, right? And there were a couple times where it sounded like she sighed dramatically, as though she was waiting for him to offer some information. This is not illegal, but it's slimy, once again.
Alright. Can you stand up for me? Alright, go ahead and turn around, put your hands on your back. You're being placed under arrest for capital murder.
Even without a direct confession, there was plenty of evidence to put Hardin away for murder. He would eventually plead guilty to murder of the first degree, and was sentenced to 30 years in prison with eligibility for parole after 21 years. Hardin is now inmate number 168541 at Arkansas DOC's North Central Unit, where he has had no major disciplinary violations. It's very likely that he'll see that parole. To this day, nobody knows why Grant Hardin killed Appleton. The alleged rape of the teacher led to Hardin being charged with 3 counts of rape, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of sexual abuse. Though in the end, he was only charged with 2 counts of rape. The statute of limitations for rape in Arkansas is 6 years. But the determination of law enforcement to bring justice in this case resulted in the issuance of a John Doe warrant in 2003 to continue the search for the suspect, which ultimately led them to Grant Hardin. This was the first of its kind in Arkansas, but a John Doe warrant effectively allows for an arrest to be made after any length of time, rather than having to worry about the statute of limitations. Luckily, this one paid off in the end.